Yes.
Namaskar, everybody. Greetings. Let us continue our Gita study, 17th chapter, with a prayer from the Brahma Purana. This is on page 126 of this book, the Universal Prayers. The second one on that page, Brahma Purana. Om Yasmat Sarvamidam Prapancharachitam Maya Jagadjayate Jasmin Stishtati Yati Chantasamaye Kalpanukampe Punaha Yam Jatva Munaya Prapancharahitam Vindanti Moksham Dhruvam Tam Mande Purushottamakhya Nityam Nibhum Nishchalam. Adorations to the Supreme Being, pure, eternal, and all-pervading, the changeless reality, the one being, meditating upon whom sages attain liberation, eternal and undifferentiated, the one out of whom the visible world, the scene of diversity, comes into existence, in whom it rests and to whom it returns in the end when the world cycle comes to a close. May the Lord bestow His grace upon us all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We have to start with sloka number 20. Three kinds of Dāna. Three kinds of Yajña we have seen. Three kinds of tapas we have seen. Sāttvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Also three kinds of tapas pertaining to the body, speech, and mind. Shariram tapaha, Vāgmayam tapaha, speech, austerities, disciplines, and maunamātmavinigrahaḥ, mental, how to keep the mind in good condition and use it for the purpose for which it was given. These three are the precious instruments we have, the only instruments we have. They are called trikarana. Karana means instrument. Trikarana Shuddhi means keeping these three instruments pure and in good condition so that we can reach the ultimate goal of human life. That we have studied. Now, in the next three shlokas, 20, 21, 22, you are going to study three kinds of Dāna. Three things are important. Yajña, Dāna, Tapas. We have been studying these things, various aspects of these three activities in different chapters of the Gita. Now, in this chapter, 17th chapter, Bhagavan is going to describe three kinds of Dāna: Sāttvic Dāna, Rajasic Dāna, and Tamasic Dāna. Dāna means to give. The whole existence, creation, entire creation depends upon Dāna. Everything in this creation is giving. Human beings are not the only people who do Dāna. Animals and plants and trees also are doing Dāna 24 hours a day. We don't recognize it. Without their Dāna, we cannot live. What are trees giving us? Trees are giving us the most essential thing to sustain life, namely pure air, oxygen. Round the clock, they are working to help us live in this world. Can we live without the trees? No. They are doing dana. Animals are doing dana. They are not consciously aware that they are doing dana, but they are doing dana. They are giving. In the ecosystem, every animal has a part to play. And they are playing it. Some animals, they purify the soil. For example, the lowly earthworm. Nobody pays any attention to the earthworm. Only when it rains, they come out ugly to look at. But it is playing a crucial role in human life. How? It is fertilizing the soil. It enriches the soil. And so we can grow good crop from the soil. Like this, every animal is playing a part in maintaining the ecosystem, contributing to something to the total ecosystem that all can live together harmoniously, happily. That is the idea in creation. Yajña, Dāna, tapas. Dana is happening. Yajña is happening, giving everything. So when we do dana, when human beings do dana, charity, we have to do it in the best possible way, Sāttvic way. Earlier we have seen anything that we do can be done in three different ways. Any action, including speaking, walking, talking, eating, can be done in a Sāttvic way, in a Rajasic way, in a Tamasic way. So speaking particularly about Dhanam, in these three shlokas, 20, 21, 22, Bhagavan is going to explain how to do Dhanam. Sattvic way, Rajasic way, and Tamasic way. So in the 20th shloka, we will study the Sattvic Dana. Sattvikam Dhanam. Shloka number 20. दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयतेऽनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्. Dātavyam, one has to give dana. Kartavyam means something that has to be done. Dātavyam is something dana has to be done. Dātavyam, it's our duty. Dātavyam iti Dānam yad dānam diyate. That dana, that charity that is done, thinking that it is the right thing to do. Purposefully, intentionally, consciously, with awareness, we have to do dana. Not haphazardly or unwillingly, should not do dana. There is tamasic dana. Dātavyamiti yaddanam diyate. To whom we should give dana? Anupakarine. Upakara means helping somebody, doing something good. Anupakarine means to that person who cannot do anything in good in return to us for the dana we give. If you give some food to a hungry person, homeless person, then we give to satisfy his hunger. That is dana. With a good intention, with love and gratitude, we have to give. Gratitude is an important part in dana. We should be grateful to the person to whom we are giving something, not the other way, not expecting the other person to be thankful to us. Anupakarene, a person from whom we cannot expect anything in return for our dana. Otherwise, there will be expectation. When people give gifts at Christmas time or on other occasions, there's some kind of expectation is also there. It's a give and take. I gave them $20 worth of gift and he only gave me $5 worth of gift in return. That kind of thinking should not be there. Giving is offering with love and devotion and gratitude. We should be thankful that we can give something to somebody. It's a privilege. So, anupakarine, to a person who cannot return anything in return to us, in return for our dana that we give to him or her. And three things have to be kept in mind when doing dana, any kind of dana, charity. What are they? Desha, Kala, Patra. Deshe, Kale, cha Patre, cha Taddanam, Sāttvikam, Smritam. Deshe, in the proper place, environment. Not anywhere, wherever. No. There's a right place, environment where dana has to be given. For example, dana has to be given in private, not in public. People give dana in public, make a big show, photographers are ready in there, and the person is handing over the check, other person is receiving the check. They hold it like this for the photographer to take photo, and that comes in the newspaper, TV. That is for show. No. What the right hand gives, the left hand need not know, should not know. Privately. The proper environment, in the proper place, not anywhere. Kala, the timing is important in dana. If you are giving food to a person, then when the person is hungry, then you can give the food. It will be useful, timely help. When a person already had a full meal, if you give more food, what can he do with it? Cannot eat anymore. Improper time. Kala has to be, time has to be proper for giving dana. Desha, Kala. Environment and timing. Timing is very important. When a person needs something, then we should give that something which he or she can use. Third one is patra. Patra means recipient of the charity that we give. Patra in general means a receptacle, a pot or a vessel. Patra also means a recipient of the dana that we do. The recipient must be the proper recipient. If a person already has millions of dollars, if you give him $5, it does not mean anything to him. If a poor person is there, homeless person who has nothing to eat, if you give him one meal, that means a lot to that person. The patra must be the appropriate recipient, somebody who can use the gift that we give at the right time in the right place. Timing is important. Three things you have to keep in mind when I give dana. Desha, Kala, Patra. To the improper person who cannot use our gift, and at the wrong time and the wrong place, if you give something that they cannot use, then that dana is totally useless. Should not be done like that. Desha, Kala, Patra have to be kept in mind when you give dana charity. The magnitude of the dana amount is not very important. It's important to some extent. Kriya Deyam Upanishad says, according to our means, we have to give. If a person has $500,000 annual income, then in a year, total charity gives is only $100. That is not proportionate to the income he has. If a poor person gives $1, that means a lot. So should be proportionate to one's ability to give. All these things have to be kept in mind when giving dhanam. Then we go to this second. This is Sāttvic Dāna. Rajasic Dāna is described here in sloka number 21. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Yattu pratyupakarartham phalamuddishya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. Pratyupakarartham. Pratyupakara means return favor. I give something to somebody expecting that person will give me something in return, expecting something to get in return for the charity dana that we do. That is rajasic dana. No, without any expectation. Once you give something to somebody, that moment it has to be forgotten. You should not even carry the thought in your mind that I gave this to somebody. If you give some gift to somebody, next time when I see that person, you should not ask, I gave you that, what did you do with it? We should not, that's a wrong question to ask. Once it is given, it is given. In our mind, you should not even keep the thought that I gave this to somebody. That moment, that is total detachment. The purpose of dana is to practice detachment and devotion. Yattu pratyupakarartham means expecting return favor from the person to whom we give something. Phalam uddishya va punaha. Phalam uddishya. Phalam means expecting some benefit from the gift that we give. When people give charity to some organization, they want some recognition, news item to be published, and their photo has to be displayed. How much amount they give should be displayed. They have put all those conditions. No, there should be no condition. Nobody should know what you give, how much you give, to whom. Phalamuddishya, expecting something, recognition, reward, praise, in return for the dana, is rajasic dana. Diyate cha pariklishtam. Pariklishtam means, here Shankara says, kheda samyuktam, made with unwillingness, regretfully. Oh, I have to give this one. If I don't give, then it will not look appropriate. Everybody is giving gift in Christmas party. If I don't take a gift, then I will stand out as the odd person in the party. So I must give. The heart is not there, unwillingly. That is pariklishtam. Taddanam rajasam smritam. That kind of dana is rajasic dana. That means when we give dana, we have to keep two things in mind. We should not expect anything in return from that person to whom we give something. That's why in the Sāttvic dana they said, Anupakarini, a person who is not in a position to return anything to us, to that person we have to give. Needy person. Not expecting something, I have given this gift, he will give me something. Not like that. No expectation in return. That is, if you have expectation, then that is rajasic dana, becomes rajasic. Phalamuddishya. So that should not be done. Third type of dana is tamasic dana. That we study in sloka number 22. Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate tasatkrtamavajñātam tattamasamudahritam. Tamasam dana, tamasic dana. That is adeshakale apatre. Desha means we have seen three things. Desha, kala, patra, place or environment, timing, and recipient. All the three are improper. Improper recipient, the person who cannot use something that we give. It should be useful to such a person. If a person cannot use something that we give, then what's the use of giving that thing to him? It's useless. Patra, recipient should be right. Adesha kale apatre. Apatre vyascha yaddanam apatre. Adesha akala. Time is not proper, place is not proper, recipient is not proper. Such a gift is useless, like a person cannot use it. What is the use? Such a dana should not be given. That is tamasic dana. Asatkritam, avajñātam. Asatkritam means Asatkritam, here Shankara says, Priyavachana pada prakshalana pujadi rahitam. When we give something, we should give it great respect. The traditional way to give dana is to invite the person, and then here it says, Priyavachana, with sweet words we have to welcome the person. Really heartily meant, not for show. Priyavachana pada prakshalana, washing the person's feet. In those days, people used to walk from place to place. Walking means long distance walking, no vehicle, no transportation, and the feet, they become dirty when you enter somebody's house. Then the host should wash the feet of the guest. That was the custom those days. They would give water to wash the feet or wash the feet to show respect and welcome that person, make that person feel welcome. Pada prakshalana pujadi rahitam, without worshipping that person. God himself has come in the form of this person to receive my gift. With that attitude, we have to give. Not disdainfully, regretfully, unwillingly. We should not give. A person who gives dana without treating the guest, the recipient properly, without saying nice, sweet words, heartily, not from the lips, and without respecting the person, treating that person nicely, if you simply give something, then that is not good. That is tamasic dana. Asatkritam avajñātam. Avajñātam means to undeserving recipients, it says here. Patra paribhavayuktam. Avajñātam means obeisance and may be made insultingly, not with respect, good feeling. Swami Vivekananda says in the Karma Yoga lecture, when you give dana to a poor person, the giver should not stand on a pedestal at a higher level and say to the recipient, hey, poor man, here I have 5 cents. It will help you. Please take this one. Not like that one. Not standing on a pedestal. With great humility, with love and respect, we have to give dana whatever we give. And not expect anything in return, not even thank you or gratitude. Some people say, I gave that a gift to the wedding person, and the bride and bridegroom did not even send a thank you note to me, like that. People say, like not expecting anything. Once it is given, it left your hands, then we have no more connection to the object given. That is detachment. So this is tamasic dana. In the commenting on this dana, here Swami Ranganathananda ji is a nice explanation. Okay, let me see here. Rajasic dana. Swamiji said this is in this book, The Universal Message of the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ranganathananda ji, in 3 volumes. It's on page 230 of volume 3. There Swamiji says, I remember a particular instance of this giving reluctantly. Rajasic dana is describing. In Burma, when we were there in 1940-42, there were Buddhist merchants and Hindu merchants who promised donation to our popular Ramakrishna Mission Hospital. To collect the donation, a Swami used to go to these merchants. As soon as the Swami went, the Buddhist merchant would immediately offer the money and thank the Swami. See, the giver must thank the recipient, not the other way. The matter would be over quickly. But if the Swami went to the Hindu merchant, he would invariably say, "Come tomorrow," or "Come day after tomorrow." The person has come to receive something, then we should give it right away, without delay, with love and gratitude, with joy. "Thank you for coming," like that. "Come tomorrow, day after tomorrow." That was natural with the Hindu merchants then. Never will a Buddhist do that. They know the way of charity. They respect it. But the Hindu merchant, did it reluctantly and most unwillingly. Rajasic Dāna. Lovingly we should give, not reluctantly, willingly. If you have something to give it. That monk had to come a long distance to receive the gift. These monks also are busy people serving the afflicted in the hospital. They're raising funds for the hospital to serve poor people, patients. That attitude was not there. Rajasic Dāna. "Come tomorrow, I'm busy now," like that one. When I was in Mysore in 1929-30, Swami Ranganathananda speaking, we collected funds for feeding the poor on the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna. One day I went to a professor, a good friend. He said, "I don't believe in God and religion, so I don't want to give in charity for God and religion. But of course, I believe in Ganesha." He didn't believe in God, but believe in Ganesha. Professor said. And then he said, "Since you have come, I must give something." Then he took out his checkbook. I thought he would write something wonderful, $10,000, rupees, or 1,000 rupees, or at least 100 rupees. 1 rupee he wrote on the check. Most unwillingly given. So much lecture and 1 rupee, professor. I also studied the whole thing. You can study human character in these actions. A person's character is revealed by how he or she does every small thing, not great things. Most of the people cannot do great things in their daily lives. Our daily life, year after year, goes on in performing small things. What great things do we do any particular day? People like us, no? Every small things we do. But how we do a small thing, little action, indicates our personality, the type of person we are, our character. By little things that we do, a person's character is revealed in the small things he or she does. So everything has to be done properly, nicely, lovingly, with gratitude, and joyfully, not reluctantly. That is Rajasic Dāna. Then, in this describing the Tamasic Dāna, excuse me, Tamasic Dāna Swami is describing on page 232. One illustration comes to my mind, speaking about Tamasic Dāna. I generally do not carry any money in my pocket when I travel abroad. Swami Ranganathanji travel all over the world every year, but he would not carry any money with him. An air ticket would be there. Somebody would receive me at the end of the journey, and therefore I never carried money with me. But sometimes difficulties arose. Twice or thrice it happened. One was in Sydney when I reached there from USA. When I landed, there was nobody to receive me, Sydney, Australia. Some misunderstanding was there. The hosts were expecting me to arrive the next day. That was because you lose or gain a day when you cross the international date line. Because of that misunderstanding, nobody came to receive me. So I was there at the Sydney airport with no money in the pocket. I saw a man doing some business in a corner. I went to him and asked him, "Can you give me 10 cents for making a phone call?" Most unwillingly, in a very unhappy state of mind, he looked at me and said, "No, I won't give." 10 cents to a monk to make a phone call. He said, "I'm not going to give. No, I won't give." Then I said, "My friends will come and I shall return the money. Please give." But that man was most unhappy to part with even a single cent. After a little while, he took out 20 cents and threw it out towards me and said, "You take it." "Very good," I said, and took it. Then I phoned, and the people came with 45 minutes, within 45 minutes, and he wanted to return the amount, but he would not accept it, for he had thrown it away. That is one experience. Tamasic Dāna. When somebody asks for 10 cents, joyfully we have to give that person, "Please do this. If you need, I can give you more," for a phone call. The same thing happened in Amsterdam. There they allowed me to phone when I said my phones would. There they allowed me to phone when I said my friends would come and they would repay the amount. I phoned to the person, Dr. Rama Folderman, who is in the audience here today. And within a few minutes, they came and returned the money to that person. So, in all these experiences, you will find that you meet with people all over the world who do this kind of charity in a very deserving case, unwillingly or willingly, according to the descriptions that are given in these verses of the Gita. So, when somebody asks for help, before the person asks, we should give, ideally. Dāna should be given before being asked, unasked. But even after asking for help, if somebody denies, doesn't want to give a small amount, that is what kind of dāna is that one? Tamasic dāna. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a nice passage where the teacher gives instructions to the Gurukulam students on how to give charity. He says dāna has to be given. Teacher says to the student in a Gurukulam, Forest Academy, Hermitage. Academy means a huge building. Or no, there was no such thing. A small hermitage where students used to stay in the middle of the forest, away from the madding crowd of the city. There the teacher says how to give dānam. So this passage comes very nicely. There it says, Shraddhaya deyam, Ashraddhaya deyam. Shraddhaya deyam means whatever you give in charity, give it with Shraddha. This whole chapter we are studying, Shraddha Trivibhaga Yoga. Shraddha means the attitude with which we do something, any action. With the attitude, that is the most important thing in the action. How we do anything, with what mental frame of mind that we do. Saddhaya deyam, when you give something, you should give it earnestness, with love, joyfully, not disdainfully, and willingly, and with love, with gratitude, we have to give something to somebody. Saddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya adeyam. Without that shraddha, we should not give any charity. Then Shriya deyam. Shriya deyam means one should give charity with a sense of plenitude, plenty. If I can afford to give $10 a month to a, say, orphanage, for example, then that is something meaningful, useful. So help to the poor students who live there in the orphanage. If I can afford $10 a month, I should give $10. If I give only $1 a month, when I can afford really $10 a month, that is not according to my income, way below my ability to give. So Shriyadeyam, the sense of plenty. Bhiyadeyam, bhi means bhaya. Why we should give it fear? Bhiyadeyam means we should be afraid. I'm giving this charity to this organization or this person. I hope it will be sufficient, it will be useful to them, timely for them. I hope so, like that one, not with overconfidence. Bhiyadeyam, for the cause is so great and the amount of donation made is so small, with that feeling of I wish I could do more. This much only I can afford, I'm giving. Like that, we should, with humility, we have to give when we give something. Biyadeyam, Hriyadeyam. Hriyadeyam means with humility, not with pride, not with arrogance, but with love and humility, we have to give what we want to give. Hri means humility. Then Samvidadeyam. Samvida means with knowledge and empathy. We should visualize ourselves in the position of the recipient. Supposing I were the recipient and somebody also gave me charity, how would I feel to receive this one? So that person's feeling, recipient's feeling must be kept in mind. Being sensitive to the feeling of the recipient, we have to give Dānam. Saumyatvaṃ, like this, instructions are given about how to give Dāna in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So now we conclude that chapter of Dānam. Three kinds of Dānam: Sāttvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. And three things to remember in giving Dānam. Desha, Kala, Patra. The recipient must be the right recipient. And the timing must be appropriate. When a person is hungry, when a person is needy, then we have to give the charity, food or other charity. And desha, the environment, time must be proper. So keeping these three things in mind, desha, kala, patra, lovingly, with great joy, with gratitude, thank you for the ability to, for opportunity to do something for this person or this organization. We should be grateful. The giver should be grateful to the recipient. That is Sāttvic Dāna. Now we go to the last subject of this chapter, very important subject. Remaining 4-5 verses. Om Tat Satiti Nirdesho Brahmanastvida Smrtaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajñāscha Vihita Pura. 23, 24, 25. There Bhagavan Shri Krishna is explaining the significance of saying Om Tat Sat. Whenever you do something, we say Om Tat Sat. At the end of every class, when I say closing prayer, Om Tat Sat I say. Now, what is the significance of that expression, Om Tat Sat? What does it mean? Why we should say that? That's all being explained in the remaining verses of this chapter. Sloka number 23. Om Tat Sat iti nirdeshaha brahmanaha trividaha smrtaha. Brahmana means of Brahman, supreme reality. Three aspects are being described. Nirdesha means specification, description. Om Tat Sat iti, Om Tat Sat. These are three aspects. Trividaha, Nirdeshaha, Smritaha. Three aspects of Brahman have been mentioned in the scriptures. Om Tat Sat iti. Nirdesha. Nirdesha means description, specification, indicating the quality of something. Nirdeshaha. Trividaha. Three aspects of Brahman have been described in the scriptures. Smritaha have been mentioned. Brahmanastena vedascha yajñascha vihita pura. Pura means in the ancient times, Actually, at the time of creation, the Lord Himself specified three aspects of Brahman when He created the creation, brought the creation into existence when Brahma. So, what are they? Brahmanaha, Vedaha, Yajñaha. Tena, by this threefold description, Vihitaha, Puraha. In the ancient time, at the time of creation, Vihitaha means Nirmitaha. They were created. The three things, what are they? Brahmanaha, Vedaha, Yajñaha. Who is a Brahmana? We studied earlier. Anybody who happens to be born in a Brahmana family need not be a Brahmana. But how that person lives is what determines whether he is a Brahmana or not. In several scriptures, in the Smritis, in Mahabharata, and in other books, the term Brahmana, in the Upanishads and other books, the term Brahmana has been described. So one description of Brahmana is Brahmajanati Brahmana. A person who knows Brahman, Brahmajnani, such a person is called a Brahmana. Others are seekers or aspirants. But one who has knowledge of the self, such a person called a Brahmana, not an ordinary thing. How many Brahmajnanis are there? They are Brahmanas, one who know Brahman. Another description of Brahmana that came, I mentioned in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is a big section, a very well-known section in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which has conversation between the famous sage Yajña and another sage, Gargi. Gargi, woman saint. Some people believe that women should not study the Vedas, should not chant the Gayatri Mantra, should not say Om. These are all not the right thing. Women can be, there is no difference between man and woman in regard to Brahma Jnana. In social matter, there may be some difference, but not in Vedanta, not in God realization. Everybody is same. So no difference. Gargi was a woman saint. So conversation between Yajñavalkya and Gargi, in that conversation, Yajñavalkya defines who a Brahmana is. He says, Yova etadaksharam Gargi viditva kasmalokat praiti sabrahmanaha. O Gargi, that person who departs from this world, asmat lokat praiti, who departs this world, aksharam viditva, tadaksharam viditva, knowing that Brahman. Akshara means supreme reality Brahman. That came earlier in the chapter 8. In the chapter 8, the first two slokas contain 7 questions that Arjuna asked. A barrage of questions Arjuna begins at the chapter 8. The first question is, Kim Tat Brahma? What is Brahman? First question of Arjuna. 7 questions he asked. So what was the answer given by Sri Krishna to that question, Kim, what is Brahman? In the third sloka of chapter 8, Sri Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Aksharam Brahma Param. Aksharam means supreme reality Brahman is Aksharam. What was Brahman was Arjuna's question. Sri Krishna's answer was, Brahman is supreme reality, imperishable. Aksharam Brahma Paramam, supreme reality, imperishable Brahman. So that Brahman has to be known. That's the goal of human life. A person who knows, that knows means experiences, not theoretical knowledge. Anybody can read a book and say, this is Brahman. That won't do. Person must do a lot of sadhana, maybe life after life, and then experience one's true nature as Brahman. Tam Brahmasmi. Then only a person is called a Brahmana. Otherwise, a person who departs this world, that means dies, before reaching that self-knowledge, such a person is not a Brahmana. Who is such a person? Yajnavalkya says, Kripanaha. Yova etadaksharam gargi aviditva kasmalokat praiti saha kripanaha. That person who, without knowing Brahman, without gaining self-knowledge, lives this world, that means leads a whole life without realizing Brahman, pursuing worldly things, such a person, the Kripana means a wretched being, wasted his whole life. Maybe did sadhana, but not enough to gain Brahmajnana. So Brahmana means a knower of Brahman. So when Brahma created this creation, three things is specifically kept in mind. Brahmana, Vedaha, scripture, Veda, the scriptures came into existence at the time of creation. The Vedas form the basis for human life. How to do yajna, how to worship God, all those things are mentioned in the Veda. Most precious scriptures. Vedaha, and then yajnaha. Yajna means a sacrifice. Specifically, yajna means a Vedic sacrifice, a ritual that is made by setting up a fire, Agni, invoking God's presence in the fire, and making offerings to the fire intended for various deities, chanting Vedic mantras. That is Vedic yajna. And generally, they are done to achieve some specific purpose. The most famous yajna that was done by Dasharatha, the king, Rama's father, was done to get sons. The Dasharatha king did not have sons. Those days it was very important for a king to have at least one son, so that when the time came to retire from the kingdom, the king and his wife queen would entrust the whole kingdom to the son, eldest son, and themselves would retire to the forest to pursue vanaprastha ashrama. That means a phase of life where they dedicate their whole life to think about God, to pursue the ultimate goal of human life in a forest hermitage setting. For that, king needed to have a son. No, Dasharatha did not have any sons. So he asked his teachers, Vasishtha and other people, they advised him to do a particular Vedic homa, Vedic yajna. These are called kamya karma, yajna done to achieve a certain goal, purpose, seeking something. So that yajna Dasharatha did, according to the instructions of the teachers, was called Putra Kameshti Yaga. Putra means son, progeny. Kama means desire. Ishti means yajna, Vedic yajna. Putra Kameshti. That was done by Dasharatha. That's Vedic yajna. Then after he did that one, he got 4 sons. Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna, that we know. So that is one kind of yajna. Doing some offering the ritual to gain something that is specific in return. Another kind of yajna is doing something for loka kalyana, for the well-being of the whole world, not expecting anything for oneself, but for the general well-being of all beings in this world. Everybody may be happy like that. And in general, as we saw in chapter 3, any action that is done with the attitude of yajna it can be called yajna. Anything that we do, including eating, that you know specifically from chapter 4, sloka 24. You know that sloka 424? You should be familiar. Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, eating is yajna. How eating can be yajna? Because the Lord is present within each one of us. In all the living bodies, He is present. Chapter 15, He says, Aham Aishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritaha. In the form of Aishvanara, digestive power, I am present in the bodies of all beings. Human beings, animals, and plants is present there. So whatever we offer, eat, is offering to Him, the Lord, present within us as Vaishvanara Agni. So eating should be done as a yajna. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi. The action of eating is yajna, arpanam, offering. Havis means the food that we eat. You offer in the homa. That is Brahman. The action of eating is Brahman. Brahmagna, Brahmana Hotam. The person who does it is Brahman. Like this, we should see Brahman in all activities, in all aspects of all activities. That is the spirit of yajna. In general, whatever action we do, without exception, should be done as if we are doing it as yajna. Otherwise, if we don't do actions as yajna, by those actions which are not done as yajna, they are going to bind us. We have to go through the result of that action. A very important statement was made in chapter 3, sloka number 9 by Bhagwan. He says, any action that is done without the spirit of yajna, except other than as yajna, anything that other than as yajna, that action is going to be binding. Binding means we will continue in the cycle of birth and death. Desire, karma, karma phala, the desire like this cycle continues. We want freedom from that cycle. We want to achieve moksha, liberation. We want to reach God. If you want to reach God, then we have to perform all actions as yajna. So, chapter 3, sloka number 9, Bhagavan says, Yajñārtāt karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Therefore, what we should do? Tasmādasaktas satatam karyam karma samāchara. Therefore, Bhagavan says, karyam karma samāchara. Whatever action has to be done, karyam, should be done as yajna. Asakta, without attachment. You have to do. Without attachment to karma and karma phala. That's the way to get liberation. So this Veda yajna, any action that is done as yajna qualifies as yajna. Every step we take, every breath we take, every word we speak, every morsel of food we eat is all yajna. With that attitude, it has to be done. So this is what the Lord Brahma specified at the time of creation. Brahmanaha Vedaha Yajna Tena Vihitaha. Tena means the threefold description of Brahman. Om Tat Sat iti. Vihitaha means they were created, Nirmitaha. That means when the Lord created this universe, He created with the sense that all action, everything is an expression, a manifestation of Brahman. Brahmanas, Vedas, and Yajñas, everything that we do, they are manifestations of Brahman. Brahman is, we have to see them as Brahman. That is general statement. Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Trivida Brahmanaha Trivida Smrtaha. Brahmanaha Nirdeshaha. The specification, description of Brahman highlighting three aspects. Om Tat Sat iti. Trividaha, Nirdeshaha, specification, description was done. Vihitaha, Smrtaha has been said in the scriptures. What are the three aspects? Om, Tat, Sat, Iti. What is the significance of Om? How does it signify Brahman? What is the significance of Tat and Sat? How do they signify Brahman? Those will be described in the remaining 3 or 4 slokas. So what we should do, we'll study this in some more detail next time. We'll conclude chapter 17. What we should do, whenever we do any action, we should say Om Tat Sat. Om means the sound manifestation Brahman. Sabda Brahma it is called. In the form of sound, Brahman is Om. We say Om, it represents Supreme Reality Brahman in all its aspects. With Brahman with name and form, personal God, Brahman without name and form, Nirakar, Nirguna Brahman, all of that is signified by the one syllable Om. Most important sound in the whole of the Vedas. We should say Om every time when we do something. Tat, Sat, two more descriptions of Brahman, two more aspects of Brahman. Tat means that. When we say the word that, we are indicating something that is there away. That person sitting there, as opposed to this person sitting here. This means something near idam. That means something there far. So that is in way of conversation. In our conversation, we say something that means far away object. Brahman is far away object. From where we are right now in our, so Brahman is our very self, cannot be far away. But in our thinking, we think it is far, God is far away in the heaven somewhere. Vishnu is Vaikuntha, Shiva is in Kailasa, like that far away places. Difficult to go there. That's what we think. He is the nearest thing to us. He is our very self. So in ordinary thinking, people think that means Brahman far away, that object there, as opposed to this idam means here. This means this world. We are familiar with this world. We are familiar with all the things here in the with the earth, with the plants and trees, other people, what they are doing. We are familiar with that. So we refer to this world as idam. Idam is this world connotation. Tat means Brahman. So when we say do something, we should say Tat, indicating Brahman is in that action. Sat means that which always exists, truth. That which always exists without changing, no beginning, no end. Brahman is like that one. Everything else in this universe is as a beginning and an end, undergoes change and disappears after some time. Unreal. So when we say something, we should see the divine presence of Brahman in our action. Whatever action it is that we do, we should see divine presence in that action by reminding ourselves, Om Tat Sat, Brahman. So that is the purpose of saying Om Tat Sat. Anytime we do anything, we should say Om Tat Sat. Begin by saying Om. Again, we should say Om Tat Sat. So we'll stop here. Next time, we shall continue this Om Tat Sat specification, threefold specification of Brahman, and what is the significance, why we should say that in all actions. We will complete that study next time, chapter 17. Now, let me say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from ill health and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble, dharmic, and auspicious. May no one be subject to any kind of misery. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shantihi. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shantihi. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shantihi. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all and stay well. God willing, we shall see you next week.